Hello, kings and queens. How y'all doing? How are my brothers and sisters doing tonight? This Friday night, that is. Well, I'm doing pretty good myself. I just got off from both of my jobs. I am so blessed just to be home with my son, feeling good, got a good energy going on. So tonight, I'm gonna keep what I'm doing now. Let me tell y'all what I'm doing. Let me sit up in this chair. Okay, what I'm doing now. Pretty much every time I come on, I'm going to be reading something positive out of my book. And after I read it, I'm going to pretty much talk about it and give my opinion, give my thought, or just say something pertaining to what I just read. The reason I'm doing this is because it's so much a negativity that's going on. And that kind of energy, it will bring your spirit down. And I'm such a godly person, and when I see things that's not right, and I know that some people probably will not change, but I also know that if some people listen to positivity enough, something in their spirit will make them say, hmm, think about it, and they might change. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I've been doing this ever since June 17th, speaking on positivity with some things that's going on in these YouTube, Facebook, social media streets. So, what I am going to do is read on resist the urge to criticize. When you judge or criticize another person, it says nothing about that person. It merely says something about our own need to be critical. If you attend a gathering and listen to all the criticism that is typically levied against others, and then go home and consider how much good all that criticism actually does to make our world a better place, you will probably come up with the same answer that I do: zero. It does no good. But that's not all. Being critical not only solves nothing, it contributes to anger and distrust in our world. After all, none of us like to be criticized. Our reaction to criticism is usually to become defensive and or withdrawn. A person who feels attacked is likely to do one of two things. He will either retreat in fear or shame, or he will attack or lash out in anger. How many times have you criticized someone and had them respond by saying, "Thank you so much for pointing out my flaws. I really appreciate it." Criticism, like swearing, is actually nothing more than a bad habit. It's something we get used to doing. We're familiar with how it feels. It keeps us busy and give us something to talk about. If, however, you take a moment to observe how you actually feel immediately after you criticize someone, you'll notice that you will feel a little deflated and ashamed, almost like you're the one who has been attacked. The reason this is true is that when we criticize, it's a statement to the world and to ourselves: I have a need to be critical. This isn't something we are usually proud to admit. The solution is to catch yourself in the act of being critical. Notice how often you do it and how bad it makes you feel. What I like to do is turn it into a game. I still catch myself being critical, but as my need to criticize arise, I try to remember to say to myself, there I go again. Hopefully, more often than not, I can turn my criticism into tolerance and respect. What y'all think about that? the urge to criticize. What do y'all think about that? Wasn't that powerful? Wasn't that powerful? That is something else. That's why this little book, I tell you, if this book and what I read don't change some people, I don't know what can change them. The thing I can tell you to do is repeat what was said. In those 3 minutes that I read this, 3 minutes or less, for it, listen to it again and again and again until it get in your spirit. Listen to resist the urge to criticize. You know what I'm gonna do? Let me do this so you won't have to. So you won't have to for it. I'm gonna read this again. I'm gonna read this again, and I'm gonna read it a little slower for you all can let this sink into your head. You all, this book that I'm reading, don't take it for a joke. It's helped me, and I know it will help other people. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna read it again. Resist the urge to criticize. When we judge or criticize another person, it says nothing about that person. It merely says something about our own need to be critical. So when we criticizing somebody, it says nothing about that person you're talking about. It speaks volumes of who you are. It speaks volumes of who you are. If you attend a gathering and listen to all the criticism that is typically levied against others, and then go home and consider how much good all that criticism actually does to our world, to make our world a better place, you'll probably come up with the same answer that I do: zero. So when somebody criticizes somebody, go back home and say, what was the point? Did it make the world better? And the answer going to be no. When you criticize somebody, it says something about you. It does nothing for the world. Nothing. It does no good. But that's not all. Being critical not only solves nothing, it contributes to anger and distrust in our world. So when people criticize somebody, it does no good. It does no good. It solves nothing. The only thing it's going to do is bring anger and make people distrust another person. That's it. That's it. Criticism is a bad thing. No one should criticize a person to the point of them not being able to trust no one. After all, none of us like to be criticized. None of us. None of us like to be criticized, especially if you live in your own life, in your own home. That person have their own things they have to deal with. We cannot just criticize people, guys. We cannot. It's only going to make that person angry. Our reaction to criticism is usually to become defensive and or withdrawing. When somebody, it's either two things. When somebody being criticized, they're going to come into a fence, or they're going to be withdrawing. And you don't want to see nobody depressed, and then you don't want to see nobody in the defense mode. So which one is it? What's the point of criticizing somebody? A person who feels attacked is likely to do one of two things. He will either retreat in fear or shame, or he will attack or lash out in anger. So that's why I say it's people have motive. When they continue to attack someone, they have a motive. They have a motive. They want that person to feel a fear, shame, or They want that person to lash out. And when that person attack and lash out, then people want to start saying they're going to call the police. Oh, that person threatened them. But you criticize somebody every day and all day, it's only two ways they're going to react. Two ways they're going to react. They're going to become withdrawn, defensive, or they're going to lash out in attack mode. So why, the question is, what is your motive of always criticizing somebody? It does not say nothing about them. It speaks volume of who you are as a person. How many times have you criticized someone and had them respond by saying, "Thank you so much for pointing out my flaws. I really appreciated it." So when you criticize somebody, like I said before, if anybody look at all of my videos, I said, when you say something to somebody as to correct them, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. If you gave somebody this carrot, this a fake carrot, and you gave it to them gently, or you gave it to them like this, would you think they're going to take it from you? You got to hand it to them gently. Give them some calm words. Don't throw it at them and then, "You need to do did. Look at this. Look how you are. Did. Nobody's not going to take it that way. And so they're going to respond harshly. Attack mode. You cannot deliver what you have to say to somebody in that kind of way and be that critical. Criticism, like swearing, is actually nothing more than a bad habit. So what it is the people who criticize some people and they say, how could somebody just do that all day, every day? If they don't do it all day, every day, they do it every other day, or they do it several times a week, it becomes a habit. I didn't make this book up. This book was written way before I started doing videos. I've been saying this. I just happened to pick this book up after reading it over 6 or 7 years ago. I just was lucky to find it because I was opening up stuff in my room. I just happened to find this book. It's something we get used to doing. We're familiar with how it feels. It keeps us busy and give us something to talk about. When you criticize somebody, it makes you feel a certain way. You like that feeling that criticizing people give you. Criticizing people, you like whatever that feeling is that you like. You done formed a habit and you is familiar with how it feels. And as this book says, not me, it keeps you busy. It keeps you having something to talk about. Something to talk about. So you all need content. Don't make content just being critical of somebody because it don't say nothing about that person. It speaks volume of who you are. So if, however, you take a moment to observe how you actually feel immediately after you criticize someone, you'll notice that you will feel a little deflated and ashamed, almost like you're the one who has been attacked. So when these people do all that criticize them, you see that they look tired afterwards. You see they breathing hard afterwards. And it, like this says, it almost feels like you're the one who's being attacked. Because you this, or yeah, look at this. You seem like you're the one who's being attacked. So you just got to be real careful what you're doing when you're criticizing other people. The reason this is true is that when we criticize, it's a statement to the world and to ourselves. I have a need to be critical. This isn't something we are usually proud to admit. So you all who doing all this criticizing, you have to admit that you have a need to be critical. And that's something that people is not proud to admit. But it's true. Look at these channels. who is constantly criticizing a certain person. You have a need to be critical. Admit it. I have a need to be critical. This isn't something we usually are proud to admit, but it is what it is. So, it's always a cause and effect. The solution is to catch yourself in the act of being critical. Notice how often you do it and how bad it makes you feel. It cannot make you feel good when you criticizing somebody. You have to know that if you sit there and know it's a habit and you just want to keep doing that, then you done formed the negative habit of being critical, and you need to admit that you are a critical person. What I like to do is turn it into a game. I still catch myself being critical, but as my need to criticize arise, I try to remember and say to myself, there I go again. Hopefully, more often than not, I can turn my criticism into tolerance and respect. So I truly hope you all got something out of that. Don't be critical to other people. Know that it's not hurting them, that you're going to only hurt yourself. You're only hurting yourself by being critical to other people. And resist that urge to criticize. I love you all. I truly hope you all got something out of what I read. I'm doing this for myself, and I'm doing this for you all. I hope that at least one person got something out of this message. I'm going to continue to be positive as always, but look into yourself. Before you do a video on someone, know if it's not of God, know if it's not helping that person. You're being critical. You got to stop that urge. You got to stop that habit. And know that it's not the person that we're looking at, it's you. With that being said, don't forget to subscribe to my channel, share my video, definitely hit like, and definitely leave a comment. With that being said, I love you all. Peace out.